One of the additions that we received in version 3.0 of Monster Hunter Rise is Crimson Glow Valstrax. The legendary Elder Dragon is a fierce opponent that will not hesitate to crush any hunter that is not prepared to face him. Once you do defeat him, you get access to his armor, and with it, the next step in greatsword power. The Valstrax specific skill, Dragonheart, that we get from its armor is single-handedly the most destructive thing we have for greatsword at the moment. It has its risks, but it is undeniably the most powerful armor set in the game. Before we continue with the build, there are two things that you need to take into consideration when looking at this set. First, this build is a baseline build. This means that it can change and evolve as we receive more content and continue to explore the game. Second, please remember that this game is heavily focused around the talismans that we are able to get through RNG rolling. As such, the better the talisman, the better the build. Unfortunately, we cannot control which talismans we get, so I will be making this build with the absolute minimum requirement possible. No god talismans, no lucky rolls, just the minimum. Let's get started. The equipment we will be running is the full 5-piece set of Valstrax armor. First, our weapon of choice is the Nargacuga Greatsword, the Dark of Night. The reason why we pick this greatsword is because of the 35% affinity that it brings us. Thanks to it, we are able to reach 100% affinity with no issues, and this increases our total damage to incredible levels. The armor, as I mentioned, is the full Valstrax set. Helm, chest, gloves, waist, and legs from the Crimson Glow itself. Now, you may have noticed that I did not equip a talisman in this build. This is not a mistake. The reason why I left the talisman spot empty is because this build does not need a talisman to be the best. That said, please understand that I am not saying that you should not use a talisman. On the contrary, I am saying that you should use whichever talisman you prefer. I recommend that you prioritize Critical Eye first to reach 100% affinity. Afterwards, prioritize Attack Boost or Focus, depending on if you want more comfort or more power. Besides this, Speed Sharpening and Stun Resistance are also very good skills to have in this build. Use whatever you have available, and as you farm better talismans, you will continue to get even stronger. Going back to the weapon, we are using the Nargacuga Greatsword. Since day one, this greatsword has proven to be one of the best, if not the best, in every version of the game so far. It is the most reliable and consistent greatsword we have access to. The Dark of Night has a raw attack power of 180 that becomes 188 when using the Attack Boost 3 in the Rampage slot. The greatsword also has 20 hits of natural white sharpness and the incredible base affinity of 35%. Both the sharpness and the affinity are the key that makes this weapon and armor set such a deadly combination. Finally, it gives us one level 2 decoration slot, the most useful kind in the game. Speaking of decorations, the ones that we use in this build are the following. On the greatsword, 1 expert jewel. On the helm, 1 expert jewel and 1 steadfast jewel. On the chest, 1 expert jewel and 1 steadfast jewel. On the gloves, 1 critical jewel. On the waist, 1 critical jewel. On the legs, 1 critical jewel and 1 steadfast jewel. Combining these armor and decorations, we will be hunting with the following skills: Dragonheart 5, Resentment 3, Resuscitate 3, Critical Eye 3, Critical Boost 3, Weakness Exploit 3, Stun Resistance 3, and of course, whichever skills you add through the talisman that you decide to use. The most important skill in this build is, without a doubt, Dragonheart. At level 5, Dragonheart gives you Dragon Blight and an extra 10% attack whenever you are under 80% of your maximum health. This, in turn, activates Resuscitate because you are blighted, adding another 20 raw to your total attack. On top of this, if you have any recoverable red health after getting hit, you will get an additional 15 raw attack from Resentment. These bonuses all stack, and they are all amazing. As soon as you're under 80% health and Dragonheart activates, this is the best build in the game. No exceptions, no questions asked. Once Dragonheart clicks, you will be doing the most damage that you can do with your greatsword. Dragonheart, Resentment, and Resuscitate have great synergy and work together to bring this build's power to the next level. In order to increase our consistency, we are running 100% affinity thanks to Critical Eye, Weakness Exploit, and the Nargacuga Greatsword. As long as you hit a monster's weak spot, you will not miss the critical hit. Finally, Stun Resistance is a must-have skill. This build relies on us being under 80% health, so that means that we are going to have to tank some hits through Tackle, Adamant Slash, and Rage Slash. Even if you tank these hits, you can still get stunned, and that is a death sentence. As a result, being immune to stun is an absolute requirement to run this build properly. Now that I mentioned Rage Slash, let's talk about how well it synergizes with this build. Hands down, this set is meant to be used with the Tackle, Rage Slash, and Adamant Slash switch skills. You can definitely use the True Charge Slash, but Rage Slash is a much better fit. The reason is that if you get hit while charging the Rage Slash, you will most likely drop under 80% health, activating Dragonheart and Resuscitate. You will definitely get recoverable red health, activating Resentment, and you will get the power boost from the fact that you tanked a hit while charging the Rage Slash. All of these conditions stack and add up to make the Rage Slash the single most damaging attack that we have access to. It all fits together. For this reason, I personally choose to not run Focus in this build. Not only is this a good change of pace, but also not having Focus makes charging the Rage Slash longer, which gives the monster more time to hit me so I can get all of these damage bonuses. Please understand that this is a personal preference. If you will rather add Focus to this build, go ahead. Remember, prioritize first getting 100% affinity. Afterwards, you can add Focus. I will say this again. This build is undeniably the best and most powerful set that the Greatsword can use at this time. It is so powerful that I am showing you the build without a Talisman, and it is still stronger than any other Greatsword build that uses the best talismans possible. Once you make this build and add whichever talisman that you have available, you will be even stronger. That being said, this build forces us to use a playstyle that trades hits with the monster and that forces us to remain under 80% health at all times. This is risky. Using this build, there is a very high chance that you can get one-shotted by the stronger monsters. It also lacks some support comfort options like Focus or Speed Sharpening. This is definitely a full DPS oriented type of build. The set works on every monster. It completely decimates the weaker ones and stands eye to eye with the greatest threats that this game has to offer. That said, such high attack is dangerous and the risk of dying will be permanent. For some, dying could even become frustrating. But the choice is yours. Do you want to be safe? Or do you want absolute power? Thank you very much for your time, and I hope I get to see you on the next one.